Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. This is Sippin' Tea with Nat and Z. I'm Nat.
And I'm Z. Hello,
What's
good morning,
up? Hello.
and all that good stuff.
Yes, greetings, salutations, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
So,
So,
what's new? What's new?
somebody commented, like we start talking and we never tell people what the episode topic is.
Oh.
And then it's like they find out like when we actually start talking about it. So, it was like, can you just tell me what it is ahead of time? Yes. The 10 best things I learned from my 10 worst experiences.
Dun, 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 dun.
Because they say they go to it drops, but they don't look at the title. They just go and listen.
Oh, they just go and listen. I realize that
Mhm.
sometimes we do and sometimes we don't. But I think more
Right.
often than not, we sit and start bantering.
Mhm.
Yeah, so the best, just for starters, one of the best things I learned about my worst experiences, you are about to be 47. You cannot stay out till 4 a.m. dancing like you're back at Pitt in the student union because I had a fabulous time, but my knee is like alpha. What are we doing?
Because remember that meme I sent you? You must not have paid attention to it. Where the guy was flipping. He did the flip.
And he's like, I'm done.
He was holding his back.
He's like, I'm done.
His back. You literally watched that meme and then went out.
I really did.
And did the
and there was, I had a couple drinks, but it wasn't anything like I wasn't, drunk. There was some drunk people there though. It was my friends, they were celebrating 17 years of marriage. Aww. And they had a house party and it was so dope. Like they have good parties anyway, but it was a lot of fun. And
Aww.
I danced quite a bit and, you got to stay in shape, though, folks. You got to stay in shape because you got to move.
Hey.
You got to move to keep moving. Because if you don't, we're going to be old, decrepit, and then you won't be able to do nothing. And you see people walking around.
Listen, I'm going to circle back around to that because that touches on something that we're going to get into later. Mm-hmm. But, okay, what is the tea of the day?
Oh, yeah. So, the tea of the day.
On the table.
The tea on the table. So we're doing a little bit like we've been doing different things every week. So there's this company called Sips By. It's an Austin-based startup company founded by a small group of tea lovers who want discovering tea to be fun, personalized, and affordable. So I've gotten some teas from them before in the past, in loose leaf and whatever. So they have a 8-week tea workshop going on. So you basically get to join friends for weekly discussions. I missed the one yesterday. It was like you watch an episode about tea. It talks about like the tisanes of tea, why tea, what is your personal practice, do you have a personal tea ritual, and what is a tea ceremony. So it really gets into the nitty gritty of the whole tea culture from any Asian practices that are associated with tea culture that they have, which are very sacred to them. It goes into how you make teas, and then you just sit and sit and learn different types of teas, and you discuss them, and then the flavors and the benefits and stuff like that. So that's something that I'm about to embark upon. So so each week I think they're gonna have like different teas discussions and stuff like that. So each week I will kind of give a high level overview of what we talked about. So yesterday was just like the intro, why everybody likes tea, what's the significance of tea, and does anybody have their own ritual? Like when I make my tea, there's certain things that I do, and then some people sit down and are quiet. Some people, incorporate it into their day, and some people don't drink tea unless they're sick. So just some of those little nuances about tea and stuff. And then there's a discovery box that they have that you can get like 30 days of different teas and like different challenges for if it's black tea, white tea, going into like the, temperature of teas. And why they need to be boiled at a certain point. Like with green tea, it can't be over like 108 degrees. It's not, or black tea is boiling. So, and what that flavor comes out with each tea. So I'm excited. It was something that kind of caught my eye, and I said, you know what? I'll take y'all on this little journey with me. So yes, that's the tea on the table. Teas to come.
Okay.
And yeah.
You know,
Any
this
hot
is
tea?
season. This is tea season.
It is.
So
It is
the
tea
fall is
season.
definitely tea season, as everybody is well aware if you've been listening to all our 3 listeners.
I've
Not
met 5 of them already. I saw when I was in my conference last week, one of my colleagues, and he's an IT guy. He has an IT company for public health and HIV and stuff. And he lives in Jersey, and he was like, "Oh my God, Natalie, I was listening to your tea, me and your podcast, me and my wife, we love it." So,
okay, so do we have more than?
Yes, we do.
No, I just, I'm self-deprecating. So
yeah, we can't do that. We can't do
Yeah.
that. We don't do that. I don't receive that. That's why I rebelled it.
I rebuke you.
I rebuke it.
So okay, so hot tea.
Yeah, hot tea.
There's not a whole lot. Because because I haven't been paying attention to stuff lately, and 2 because there just really isn't. But the Writers Guild, the Screen Actors Guild are all on strike, and if you are someone like me, it hurts because that means that there are no new shows. So no new Abbott Elementary.
No new.
There have been shows
late night, right?
No.
Oh wow.
So there has been some problems with that because some of the daytime talk show hosts have been coming back and they're considered scabs, like Drew Barrymore, who was like America's sweetheart for like not America's sweetheart, but everybody found her real affable and like loved her and was like, oh,
since Firestarter and ET.
Yeah, like she's had a rough life and and now it's just like Drew burn because she decided to come back to work.
And she's an old Hollywood family too.
Yeah, and everybody's like, why would you do that? But on one hand, I get it because it's not just about her.
Mm-hmm.
She has people that work for her that need to eat, and the strike is going on. And I haven't been keeping up with the negotiations so I don't know what is happening. But I already am seeing the effects of this strike. What's that show? The Wonder Years, the reboot.
Oh yeah, the reboot.
Boulay Hill, who doesn't get enough flowers, in my opinion. He is a great actor from West Wing. I think we talked about this before. This man went from West Wing to Psych to Ballers to.
He's Wonder been on Years, a lot of shows.
He has.
Wasn't he on Suits?
He was on Suits.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten to that season.
Oh, okay.
But that. He plays somebody different in every show he's on.
His range.
So you never feel like, yes, he has a large range. So I never feel like I'm watching him play somebody else. I just feel like it's him. Like, especially Psych. That's
yeah.
Like, I don't equate Boulay Hill.
That was a funny show.
I know it's him. It was. Yeah. That's Gus. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and then when
you can't like separate the two because he's so believable.
Yeah, it's just like that's Gus. But that show is canceled after 2 seasons. I suspect that the writer's strike has something to do with it because it probably didn't have a strong
following
viewership. And when they start thinking about things to cut off the chopping block to save money, that probably was one of the shows. And
that's unfortunate. Because that Wonder Years was on forever.
Yeah,
the original, so it had
come back
going power.
Yeah, and I believe Fred Savage, who played Kevin in the Wonder Years, actually was the person who pushed this forward. And I don't know if he was a producer or creator, but this was his show as well. So it's sad to see that go, because there's not a lot of shows that show African Americans prominently in the forefront.
Right.
So, and there are a lot of shows that I just start watching that were kind of on the cusp that I feel like we'll see in the next few weeks. This continues to go on. Are also going to face the chopping block, and that's unfortunate. There are some new shows that were in the pipeline that I know that are coming out. There actually was a show that's coming out. I don't know if anybody has watched Shameless, but what was her name? V, I think, in Shameless, the black girl who's married to the white woman. I mean, the white man. Excuse me. She is on a show where she plays like she's either a lawyer or no, she's like a detective,
Mm-hmm.
and she does missing children,
Mm.
and
I feel like I've
she
seen that, or
it was like a preview, and
yeah.
she's like does something like where she's able to find these missing kids because she actually was kidnapped, and this is all in preview. She was kidnapped as a young kid,
Uh
and
huh.
then the person who kidnapped her is Zach Morris from
Really?
Zach Morris from
Saved by the Bell.
Saved by the Bell, who also is in another show that I liked, Will Trent, that I just started watching, that I feel might be on the cusp of one of those shows that might need the axe because of the strike.
Uh huh.
Um,
I'm
he
glad
was her
he's working.
kidnapper. Yeah, he was her kidnapper, and then you find out that somebody asked her like, "How are you so good at finding these kids?" And she's like, "I'm just good at my job or whatever." And then she goes home and she has this door and it's like 3 locks. She unlocks all 3 locks and she's in the basement and she done kidnapped her kidnapper. He locked in the basement.
What?
And so I was like, "Ew, I think I might want to watch this." Yeah, I wish they would have kept that part secret,
Yeah, till the
like
end.
so that you could see it in real time, like bitch. But I also feel like with certain shows, you got to give somebody something to make them want to watch it. So I am intrigued. So I will watch that. But so if you are a TV fan or a movie fan like I am, you're going to see the effects. Movies, maybe not so much, because movies generally are you're not going to see the effects in the movie industry until maybe like a year or two away. The reason why I say that is because a lot of the movies that come out like now were already done like 2 years ago or like a year ago, right? They were already finished. And then it takes a while, like editing, post-production and all that takes a long time before you can do. So while you think this is something that's recent, it was already in the can.
Right.
So it's movies that were in the process of being made that are going to have to be pushed back, like Blade, which is a Marvel film that Mahershala Ali was
he was playing Blade?
Yes.
Really? Okay. Wesley Snipes reprisal.
Yes. And they had to push that back again. It was already pushed back for other reasons, and now they have to push that back again.
He'd be a good Blade.
He is going to be a very good Blade.
Yes, he could totally.
That was like a great choice.
Very on point, on spot on.
If I had to say so, yes. And it's unfortunate because here's the thing: if I'm somebody who is in a movie, and my movie was slated to be finished December 2023, me being acting in it, right? And it's supposed to go to post-production like January 2024. And I'm supposed to start a new project that they were like, okay, we want you in this. We'll push it out till June 2024.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to be screwed because I've already delegated myself to this movie. And maybe that movie may be like, well, we already said we wanted you in 2024. The strike is over. We can still start in 2024. We're just not going to be able to start with you because you're still working on this film. So it is going to have a long-term effect on a lot of people in a lot of different ways.
And why? And I mean, I don't know anything about really the strike per se, but are the demands like unreasonable? Because from what I understand, they're not. Just a high-level view. They're not, which is why the actors have been on the picket lines with them.
No, it's not unreasonable. The reason why it's not unreasonable is because AI is the devil. There are good things about AI, okay? There are good things about artificial intelligence. Some, if you use it the way that you're supposed to use it. But if I'm making pennies on the dollar, and being in a movie, like people will be like, oh, Will Smith makes $20 million a movie. Yeah, on a movie that's going to gross $500 million.
Right.
Yes, pay that man what he's worth, because when you look at it, that ain't asking for a lot.
No, in comparison.
Right. I know that people want to tussle me over this comment because it's always eat the rich. I get it. But $20 million on a movie that now probably will make $1 billion when they take it overseas, that ain't asking for much.
Not at all. That's a drop in a bucket.
Right. These movie companies are making millions. I don't know if this is true. I can't remember if it's $500 million a day. I don't think it's that much, but maybe it is. Or they've lost the records. The movie studios have lost since the strike $500 million. Get what I'm saying? $500 million these movie studios have lost since the strike started, and they still not coming off it. So that tells you how much money they're making. If they can lose that much and not even I'm gonna
So
just
they're
keep it
probably going to
popping.
go, what, to $1 billion and be like, okay, I guess we'll renege.
Who knows? So the issue is that these movie studios are now saying, when you sign this deal with us, you're also signing over your physical likeness, all that stuff, for us to use an AI. So we can use your image, your body with artificial intelligence in perpetuity. Your voice, everything.
Right.
So basically, I can have you in one film and never use you ever again. And just
Oh
keep
my
using your likeness. And
gosh.
I'm not going to pay you that much for it. Where I would have paid you $20 million to star in this, I may pay you $1 million over the course of every time I use you. And we also have to understand, I think it's like 98% of the actors who are actually in state, or it's the writers and the actors
Uh-huh.
who, let's start with actors. 98% of the actors who are actually in SAG are poor.
Right. Yeah.
They're
And
not
they don't make a lot.
they don't make a lot of money, right? It's only the 2% that really makes some money. And the 2%, when you look at it, are the people that you see all the time. The Will Smiths, the
Yeah.
Nicole Kidmans, the Tom
Yeah.
Cruises, even Kevin Hart,
Yeah.
Jamie Foxx. Like when you look at it, Denzel Washington, it's the same
Mm-hmm.
cast of characters.
In
And
every
so when
in
you
different movies.
in different movies, it's the same cast of characters.
Yeah. Very
So
rare to see
you're not
any
going to
new
see some new
breakout
person.
stars.
No. When was the last time you saw a new breakout star? I
That
mean,
is true.
Daniel Kaluuya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Um,
is he good?
but here's the thing. He's good though. But here's the thing. Daniel Kaluuya, no. Now, Daniel Kaluuya,
He's a
an
bold
actor.
actor.
He's
Yeah.
an
He's
actor,
an
okay?
actor.
But I
Actor.
wouldn't say so much if he's breaking, but breaking to the white folks probably. You know what I'm saying?
True,
Lakeith
because he's with
Stanfield.
he part of the Wakanda.
Right.
So we all I
So
get it.
it's unfortunate. I don't know when this is going to end. I'll look and see. I haven't been keeping up with negotiations, but
There's a
that's
lot
pretty
of
much.
people that affects the production crew, the makeup artists, the
Yeah,
design.
it affects everybody,
It affects everyone.
and all they're asking for is a living wage.
That's insane.
And there are people who actually make money who aren't getting residuals off of streaming, and it's also the streaming. They want you to pay
Oh
them more for streaming.
yes,
Like
yes.
Aaron Paul, who played in Breaking Bad, he came out and was like, I don't even get money. I don't get no revenue from streaming. I don't get residuals for Breaking Bad. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You don't get
Who wrote
residuals for
that
Breaking Bad?
contract? Who negotiated that part of the contract?
I don't know. So I'm just saying, pay these people. I
Right.
need my Abbott Elementary, okay? I need it.
I
Y'all
need to
not going to
start.
deprive me of it.
I can take
because-
some time and watch it now because it's on
Yes.
hold.
Pay them, because I need my Abbott Elementary. Because what you're not going to do is put me up against a damn government shutdown. You got the UAW
That's the
on
auto
strike.
workers.
Ain't no new cars. But here's the thing: I wasn't gonna buy American anyway. But that's not the point.
Right.
The car people on strike, the actors,
All
and
three against
all
all
three.
three.
all
That's
these other people
huge.
are on Writers Guild, Screen Actors Guild on strike. The damn shutdown is looming. Inflation is
Yes.
inflationing.
Yes.
Recession is recessioning.
Recessioning. All of that. This is, and then COVID is ticking back up.
COVID is COVIDing.
COVID is COVIDing.
People getting
New
flesh-eating
strain.
bacteria.
Oh my goodness.
Water.
What? Oh my lord.
And y'all gonna tell me I can't watch my Abbott Elementary? Y'all gonna tell me I can't watch? Y'all best give it to me, because people are living on edge. We need.
They
something.
are. Y'all,
Okay?
yes. I don't know what people would have done, because I noticed when I was on Netflix that now most of the shows are foreign and everything has subtitles.
Well, that's because Netflix. I don't know.
I was like, is that because I was like, who are all these movies from?
I'm beefing with Netflix right now. But if you want quality programming, Apple TV is the place to be. And the reason why I say that, I love Netflix, and Netflix is good for a good quick binge of a TV show. Like I just finished watching Virgin River, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't watched that, I suggest you watch it. I think you would like it.
Okay.
It's a step above Hallmark.
Oh, okay. Virgin
And it's
River.
like, it reminds me of Old Time Lifetime. Remember them Old Time Lifetime movies?
Yes.
The old school ones. We're not talking about the new ones. Yeah. The old school ones. It gives you kind of that. It's very good. It's a series. You would like it. And it's a quick watch.
And do you have to, for Apple TV, you just sign up for it? Because I don't have it. Or is it just streaming?
You do. I would do a search and see if you could find like a promo, because they usually offer like a few months free.
Okay.
And the reason why I say it's quality, because it's not a whole lot on there, but the stuff they do have on there is very good. I've yet to watch something on Apple TV that I was like, that was lower than, I would give it lower than a B+.
So it's not a Tubi.
Oh, it's definitely not Tubi. It's not giving Tubi. Okay, it's definitely giving yacht luxury. Okay.
Oh,
not river paddle boat, which is Tubi.
Okay? That's funny. Paddle boat versus yacht.
I would definitely do that. And then there's one more thing that was on the cusp of me saying, and I don't know. If I can remember it, maybe I'll bring it up during our time of talking. But
that's fine. That'll work. Yeah. It's something we may say may trigger it.
Yes,
like
it probably will. Oh, yes, I remember now. And I'm just going to be very quick with this. So Beyonce's still on tour.
Uh-huh.
And if you haven't listened to Renaissance, if you're not a Beyonce fan, if you're not somebody who is of the know about what goes on at the concert, there's a part, she has this song, it's called Energy. And there's a part in the song, she's like, looking around, everybody on mute. And we have collectively decided, and she has told us, just shut your mouth when that happens. Be quiet, bitch. Why are you still talking?
Right.
Shut
that's what mute means.
Yes. And it's taken a while. When she was overseas, the people weren't muting. But as they came over here, people were muting.
Right.
But here's the funny story. There's a think piece on this. And this might be one of the one think pieces that I'm like, oh shit, that's spot on. People are saying the people who aren't muting aren't black. The people who aren't muting are white. And that is because they do not know how to get direction from black people. They don't like taking direction from black people. You're not going to tell them what they can and cannot do. We as a people are very trained to take direction and listen. So when somebody tells us to mute,
survival,
we shut the fuck up.
That's a good thing. Like as a topic, mute, and where it comes and manifests in our culture, in a hierarchy and historical context of what that means for direction of people and survival. Because certain things we had to do that, so it's just generationally passed down. Yeah,
when somebody gives us a direction, this is what you have to do. Somebody said when they give white people direction, they take it as it's a choice.
It's a suggestion.
It's a suggestion.
That is so true with like when they get pulled, some of them, I don't want to generalize, get pulled over and they will get out the car fighting, cuss you out and call you everything but the name of God. Mm-hmm. A child of God, right?
And I said, but that's exactly, so I said, I went and looked at TikTok videos, and there are black people who are in the audience. And they were like, everybody on mute, and they take their camera and they span it. And the people that are still talking and screaming are not black people.
Is it the beat that they're missing?
They don't want to take directions. And I don't even think it's like they realizing it. Like, case in point, if you don't believe me, go watch Atlanta. You can go on TikTok, or go on YouTube and type in Atlanta Mute Challenge. She tells them they won. Them bitches was silent. But guess what? Most of the people at Atlanta's show work.
Yeah, that's wild.
Go to Seattle, which is predominantly white. Them people were not quiet at all. They screamed the whole time through the whole challenge.
Do they not know the song?
Yes, they know the song. If you go to this concert, you understand what you're supposed to do during the music.
Right.
You have seen enough videos to understand that you're supposed to mute.
Some of those videos that have come out have been pure comedy, and I'm not going to go into it, but have been pure comedy based on some of the stars of said memes.
Yes, one dude was pissed the fuck off. He was like, "Shut up, bitch! Shut up! Why are you still talking?" That had me dying because he was in his feelings for real.
You're messing up my whole Beyonce vibe.
Right. Now,
experience.
Granted, some people are like, it's not that deep.
Right.
But it is when you are in a space where somebody is creating a safe space for you to really be you. You have to understand, this woman is going into places that she went to Florida and they like no drag queen shows. They basically, their agenda is to shut down anything black, anything
Yes.
LGBTQIA, anything that is not heterosexual,
White, waspy.
white, Protestant thinking. And these people can come for 2.5 hours and feel like they are among people who understand them, who love, support, and create joy for themselves in this space. And you're not going to shut up for fucking 8 seconds? Shut your mouth.
Just be quiet. Shut it.
But that's it.
www.com.
Exactly.
.org.
So that's it. So let's take a quick break and we'll come back with the topic of the day.
And we're back. So, like we were saying, the topic of today is the 10 best things I learned from my 10 worst experiences, right? So we all have been, we've all have been in a terrible situation where we thought our world was ending, woe is me, and we get it. Life be lifing, especially lately, and it happens that way sometimes. Girl, life be lifing. Just listen to the tea. Just go back and listen to the tea about all the things that we up against right now. Oh, and global warming. Forgot about and all the and all the what do you call the weather?
The hurricane.
The hurricane. All of that. And Hawaii, other stuff going on in Hawaii. I know that was man-made, I think, but still, like, all of those things, But, a lot of times, people say there's a silver lining of a cloud or whatever, because some of those situations can be beneficial for us in the long run. Of course, we don't see that at the time. There's a lot of awful circumstances that can make our lives better. There's no escaping it. At some point, we all are going to have a shitty day or have something shitty happen to us, something catastrophic, unfortunately. And everything that can go wrong will go wrong, right? Man, you just like, really today? Is that what we doing? And the suck comes for us all because when that happens, it sucks, and we're just like, what the hell is going on? As far as like unexpected expenses that you go and then put your account into the negative, and you pop it over, you like, what the hell? We have people that hurt us. Something that we need will break, and at that time we need it and it breaks right then. People that love us or that we love disappoint us and hurt us and, betray us and all those things. But the best we can do is prepare ourselves and, prepare for the worst, expect the best. Is that how it goes? Expect the best, prepare for the worst. Just so that your mindset can be balanced in that. So what can some of these experiences teach us? Do we completely succumb to, oh my God, life is over, I can't do it? Sidebar about that, because I think there's some folks in this generation, and if you go, there's some TikToks about this, that this participation culture, if something happens to some of y'all, like, oh my gosh, my nail broke, it is really the end of the world. And it is not. But it's very disproportionate with the actual event. Some of the responses that are like, oh my God, my life is over. And because you just have not been able to develop coping skills of loss and rebounding, because everybody is a winner. Everybody's not a winner. Everybody's not a winner. You win some, you lose some.
And it's also, honestly, it's part Gen X's responsibility and fault for that.
Oh, I agree.
A lot of us have raised children because we've seen the struggle our parents went through.
Like,
a lot of Gen Xers are first generation college students, right? I'm 60 years old. I will say that's not my experience because I came, and I'm not saying this is not a humble, well, it is a humble brag. My family was very educated from the beginning. My grandmother was a elementary school teacher. Went back to when the demographics of the neighborhood that she was teaching in started to change. She went back and got her master's degree in Spanish to learn Spanish fluently to be able to communicate with the teacher or with the parents who were first, literally just came here. right?
That's what's up.
Good.
Okay, Miss Grace.
My aunt had a PhD. My
Mm-hmm.
great aunt, well, yeah, my great aunt had a PhD.
Nice.
My mom went to the University of Kentucky and then Temple. Like,
Mm-hmm.
these are things that, so I wasn't a I personally was not a
Right.
first generation college student. However, a lot of our generation is. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people that I know personally are the first people in their family to go to college, right?
Right.
And so we've seen the struggle. We know what it means to be a latchkey kid. We have the,
Yeah.
we know all of that. So we have kids and we're like, I don't want you to struggle.
Right.
But sometimes we've taken too much struggle out of their
Away.
lives to the point where they cannot function.
They're coddled.
They're coddled. And they of course there's things I'm definitely never going to have my child go through that I
Right.
had to go through. But there are some things absolutely you're going to go through. And I don't care if I can make that path a little easier for you. You need to understand.
Yes. It's
that
character building.
Very much so. Very much so. This is why, people think it's cute that Gen Z is coming into the office of like, oh, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
I don't get
and
that.
That's great. I get it. Because yes, you should have boundaries in
That's
terms
fine.
of your work life and whatever. But there's some things that Gen Z's like, I'm not doing. I'm like, but that's work. Obviously, you don't.
Can we talk about that? That's a whole thing.
But that's different. But
yeah.
But what we're basically getting to is the fact that you can, out of concrete, a rose can grow out of concrete sometimes.
Yes, for sure. And it's not the word. There are definitely some life-altering things that can happen to you. But just understand, everything will go wrong at some point. Like I said, they build character. Seize the opportunity to, try to look at it as an opportunity. Try not to be like Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. Oh my goodness, the world is ending. Try to be like Tigger and be like, oh, this is opportunity to do da-da-da-da-da.
No, Tigger had ADHD.
He really did. He really. Yo, some days when I go back and watch some of our cartoons that we grew up on, I was like, I don't really feel this was appropriate for my age.
No.
But I think, though, it put something subliminally in our mindsets for us to deal with life the way that we have dealt with it and gotten through, because some of these little cotton candy cartoons nowadays, I'm like, they don't teach you nothing at all.
Well, Bluey,
I wouldn't know because I don't know babies.
Bluey is a gem among gems when it talks about, I will say Peppa
the Pig
is good.
Mm-hmm.
Tisha don't like Peppa because she says she got a smart mouth, and she does. She begins sassy,
but
she's British, so maybe that's how the Brits do it over there. But she does get a little sassy.
Right.
She begins spicy sometimes.
Oh, spicy.
Bluey, excuse me. Bluey, I absolutely love Bluey. I absolutely love Bluey. But that's neither here nor there.
That's too funny. But, these things some other things you can learn from this is that rest is necessary, because if you keep going and something happens and it causes you to stop, you probably needed to stop for some situations where your body shuts down. So rest is necessary. And then it can
about rest.
Yes. And then we just talked about rest. And then thinking about, it causes you to kind of pause and focus on what really matters most to you and what's going on in your world. Sometimes it helps you to develop new interests because you got to find some distractions. So like how Z was talking about earlier, if all that shit happened, we don't need some TV to watch. Okay. To escape, some escapism, to get away from stuff. And it's not saying that you become completely delusional, but sometimes a distraction builds itself into something else that you can leverage into a positive thing. And, sometimes when all this stuff is going on, people will understand, and then sometimes they don't. If not, but keep moving.
Exactly.
And that also builds resilience and all these other things that we're going to get into later, because everybody is not going to understand where you're coming from because they're not equipped to understand, or they're not equipped with the tools to understand how to deal with all of the angst of when shit goes left. And they're because they think the world revolves around them, and they don't understand how to relate. So, yeah.
I would say my distraction is definitely TV. I do watch a lot of TV, and I know some people are like, "So if you always watching TV, how do you spend time with your child and your husband?" I do. It's like
Mm-hmm.
when you, I work from home. I watch
Mm-hmm.
TV during my lunch break. I watch
And
TV
you watch it,
like
watch it. You just don't have it on in the background because sometimes I just have it
no.
on in
I'll
the
sit
background.
down at lunch. I literally sit down and I'll watch an episode of something with
Mm,
while I'm eating lunch.
right.
And this is a kind of a way for me personally, especially like if my work day is going shitty or something
Mm-hmm.
like I got too much going on and I just need a palate cleanser for my brain.
Right.
I will sit and shut it off for a little bit and
It's
just
good though.
watch it during my lunch break. And that's how I'm able to watch TV. So like if a show has like let's say 10 episodes, I'm done a
Mm-hmm.
show. Like
In a
I'll watch
week.
an hour. Yeah, I'll watch an hour a day
Oh, that's a good
at lunch.
idea.
And then like right now my husband watches Big Brother. I watch it sometimes and I don't.
Uh-huh.
So while he's watching
I
the
used
days
to
that
watch
he
it when it
watches
first
Big
came out.
Brother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't
The
know it
days
was
that
still
he's
on.
watching it is. The nights that he's watching Big Brother, I will probably watch something else while he's
Right.
watching that. And then sometimes we'll find something. And then after that we'll find something to watch. But that's neither here nor there. But that's what I'm saying. Distractions are good because
Yeah.
sometimes life be life and you just need that. So what are ways that a bad situation can help transform your life? Natalie, you touched on this just 2 seconds ago about resilience. Like
Mm-hmm.
resilience is something that I think a lot of us can learn from a bad situation, right?
Yeah.
Um, and this is a way to turn something bad into something good. It tests your ability to bounce back and adapt. You can learn from these situations, and when you're learning from these situations, it will help you develop resilience, right?
Yeah.
And that's basically the ability to recover quickly from difficulties, right?
Mm-hmm.
So some ways you could do that is like learning how to process your negative emotions. A lot of times
Yeah.
things happen and we get really negative emotions about it, right?
Yes.
I had a situation in terms of resilience where it was a professional experience.
Mm-hmm.
Something bad happened. And I was just in my feelings about it for a very long time.
Right.
A lot of it was ego. A lot of it was other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm just now, and sometimes it doesn't happen. Like, yeah, sometimes you can learn the lesson right then and there. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
it takes a while. This was
It's
a
a
lesson that took
process.
me, yes, over 3 years to learn.
Right.
Excuse me, my allergies are bothering. It took 3 years to learn, and I'm just now coming out of it like stronger than ever.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned to process the negative emotions that I had around it because I ruminated sometimes on those feelings for so long
Mm-hmm.
that it kept like pushing poor thoughts to the
Right.
forefront, right? And when I learned to just process those negative emotions, deal with them, and then push them aside.
Because you're going to have them. It's just a matter of what you do with them.
Right. And then, like I said, it took 3 years to process what happened. I realized I can overcome anything. If I was able to overcome this particular situation,
Mm-hmm.
I can overcome a lot of stuff. Now, I'm seeing also sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you think something is really bad when it turns out to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm learning is that situation at the time made me feel like shit, but turned into probably one of the better situations. I'm not gonna say the best, but the
Right.
better situations that have happened to me because it's taught me a lot about myself and about work in general.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna propel me to do something totally different than what I'm doing right now. So
Fair
I'm
point.
so with work, I've become resilient. That was one of those places I haven't been. In relationships, I've been resilient in more so in my late 30s to
Mm-hmm.
now than I would
Mm-hmm.
say like 35 and before. Like
Right.
35 and before, I thought the world was ending. After
Isn't that
35,
the truth?
after 35, I was like, I don't give a damn. Go ahead, go.
Right. Just go.
Do you, right? But resilience is definitely one of those things that I think learning, and I've had a lot of death in my life, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm very resilient from that. Sometimes I think a little bit too resilient, so that might be
Mm-hmm.
something I need to readdress in therapy.
Right.
Sometimes like death happens, and I'm just like, it happens. Like you gotta,
It's inevitable.
it's inevitable, and you gotta go move forward.
Right.
And I don't think that that's always the most healthiest approach. So I think I'm
No,
going to
not
need to revisit
always.
that.
Not
Right.
always. Yeah, the resilience thing is
um,
no joke. I think we all have our points in life that can be um those, I forget, what do they call those moments in life, not, I guess, moments of clarity, but I think that's the wrong
mm-hmm,
terminology that I'm using, because after, I would say, all my healthcare issues, and I'm finally like back and
mm-hmm,
up, and I thought when I had the sinus surgery like 3 times, I was like, oh my god. And then I had my botched hysterectomy, and then I was like, this is, my world is ending. Then I had to have brain surgery, and I was like, oh my god, this is it. And
mm-hmm,
the resilience that had to come with that, and even like being in the hospital, being in ICU with the nurses, they were like, you are one of the most pleasant patients that we have ever had,
mm-hmm,
who's facing this life altering, death defying, so to speak, situation. And it really makes a difference on how do you sit back and look at the rest of your life? How do you approach other
mm-hmm,
situations? There's some things that I'm going through right now that I'm like, Lord, what in the HE double hockey sticks? Because,
mm-hmm,
and I'm like, what is this situation supposed to teach me? Because I have a love-hate relationship kind of with the word resilient, because of all
mm-hmm.
the stuff you got to go through. And I'm like, I think I'm good on the resilience. I'm good. Like I'm topped out. But each situation teaches you a different way or angle to look at uh, how you are resilient to life's situations. You
So I
know,
think some people, I think that there is a fine, like for some people they confuse resilience with, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this, resilience with, I'm just accepting poor behavior from other people.
right?
I'm
That's
just
a good point.
accepting this shit here, and it's just showing how strong I am.
Not
No, you don't have,
necessarily.
like, that's not necessary. And I feel like a lot of times a lot of people get bogged down with, well, I'm accepting, this poor working condition, but and it's really showing how resilient I am. No, it's that's showing that you have a lack of boundaries and you don't know how to advocate properly
For
for yourself,
yourself.
right? um and that's what I'm saying. Like, people have to be clear as to whether or not they're being resilient or they just have a lack of boundaries.
Right. Because you can
Um,
accept something and it go left. That doesn't mean you're being
oh,
resilient.
absolutely,
And you just
absolutely.
sit in it, and you're just like Eeyore. Oh, it's a sucky day. And
Yeah,
then you
yeah,
don't do
yeah,
anything about it.
absolutely,
You know?
absolutely. Um, so one of the other things you can learn is problem solving skills, right?
Yes.
Bad situations present challenges that require creative problem solving. And through this, you can learn to ask for help. There are
Mm-hmm.
times where you can be faced with a problem and you're like, I don't know what to do in this situation. And then you learn, oh, if I would have just asked for help, I probably would have been able to get this done faster.
Right.
Or I probably would have
That's a
gone
good
through
point.
this better, but I didn't. But now I know if it happens again, the first thing I should do is probably ask for help.
Right.
And then you also figure out through problem solving what you can control, right? There are things that you like, I
Mm.
just can't control this. So if this happens again, like,
Yes.
okay, for example, if you're in a bad relationship, right? You realize you cannot control the other person.
At all.
A lot of times we try to control the other person's feelings, behaviors,
Yeah.
movements. And when you realize you can't, then you solve the problem. The problem is you're in a bad relationship. How do you get out?
Right.
Or um you can't control somebody paying you child support, right?
Right. I mean,
Can't
unless you
control
take
that.
them to court, so to speak.
But even then, people
There's no
quit their
guarantee.
jobs and
That is
and
true. People
go
do be
on a
ducking, they
run.
quitting jobs and state hopping.
Right. You know you can't control that. So what can I control? I can control my budget. I can control how much I spend. I
Mm-hmm.
can control the fact that I don't know if I'm going to get this money. I still have to survive. So it
Right.
puts you in situations, and then you might become the best budgeter in the world.
True.
You know,
I need to work on
because
that
you've
in my
learned.
life.
Um,
Becoming the best
listen,
budgeter.
listen. I just got there, so girl, trust me. Um, Emotional intelligence, which I feel
Yes.
like a lot of people lack emotional
A
intelligence.
lot.
Um,
A lot.
yes.
A lot. Did I say a
Um,
lot?
a lot. I'm one of those people that sometimes lacks emotional intelligence.
You think so?
But oh hell yeah, I
Yeah.
used to. I will say I'm still kind of on the cusp. Excuse me. But emotional intelligence involves understanding and managing your own emotions as well as empathizing with others, right? And I think in emotional intelligence, once you get to that point, you are able to learn forgiveness.
Yes.
And forgiveness doesn't necessarily, forgiveness is always more for you.
Yes.
Like, it's never for the other person. So, like,
yes. Had a whole thing on that yesterday for myself.
Yes. It's just, you know what I mean? And sometimes you have to be like, I forgive you for doing this to me, because sometimes you're never going to get the apology you think you deserve.
Oh, girl, preach on that.
You got to learn how to deal with that, right?
Yeah.
So the bad situation is somebody harmed you and they didn't apologize.
Yeah.
The thing you've learned out of that is emotional intelligence. I'm going to give you a little bit of empathy because I understand there's some things going on that don't got nothing to do with me.
Right.
And hurt people. So you probably came at me that way. I'm going to forgive you for that this time.
Right. This time.
Okay?
There's other consequences and repercussions next time.
Huh.
If there's a next time. Let me digress. If.
Listen.
If.
Hello, good morning.
Yes. That part right there.
So self-reflection is another thing, right?
Yeah.
The bad situations can provide opportunities for self-reflection. You can examine your role in a situation, take ownership of your own actions, your own decisions. You learn valuable lessons about yourself, your values, and your behaviors. Self-reflection is one of those things that I think a lot of people lack.
Yeah.
They don't want to do the work because self-reflection.
Emotional intelligence and self-reflection go hand in hand.
Listen. If you have to sit back and think about your own actions and decisions and how they affected somebody else,
other people,
whether it be it negatively or positively, a lot of times we have to do self-reflection because we hurt somebody, or we did something negative. So,
like, ooh, I need to get myself together. Let me gather myself.
Yes, there were times in my, I had this conversation with somebody recently where I was like, a lot of people are walking around with childhood trauma. And sometimes they don't even know what is rooted in. And that childhood trauma manifests itself in a lot of different ways.
Yep.
Somebody was talking about Megan Thee Stallion recently. And they were saying how, she's a drunk and shit. And she probably bought it on herself. Like, because she was known to drink a lot and be a mean drunk. And I said, but you got to give this girl empathy and grace. Because this girl, I think she's probably 25. I don't know if she's younger than that or older than that. I'm going to just say smooth 25. Lost her mama, her grandmama, and her daddy. Already.
Right.
In her 20s. Lost her mama right.
Right. That's what happened to you. You got to ask people what happened to you. I'm reading that book now. What happened to you? I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. And it's to that point. What happened to you for her to act in such a way? Because that's a coping mechanism for her.
It is.
Because she's not in a space to reflect yet because she's in pain.
And it's not even reflect. It's just like she doesn't know how to deal with her trauma and handle.
Exactly.
She didn't know how to deal with her trauma. You're about to be a big ass star. You're on the cusp of being like Meg Thee Stallion. Right? And your mama died, and she was your manager. She was the one that was helping you with your business. She was with you every step of the way.
To help you get to where you are, Thee Stallion.
And I'm supposed to just be able to deal with that. I'm gonna tell you, when I was in my 20s, me not properly processing my mother's death had a very negative effect on me, where I was lashing out at everybody. I was a trash friend, a trash human being a lot of in my 20s. And you realize, well, if you do the self-reflection, and I had to apologize to a lot of people. I was like, yo, I did this. I know I did this. And I apologize. And I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. You know, most of those people are like, girl, I ain't worried about that. That was 10 years ago. But for me, I had to do that. And self-reflection, again, because forgiveness is
for the other person. It's for you, not the other person.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just told someone yesterday I had to forgive him.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then personal growth. You'll learn a lot about yourself, and you should grow. If you're not growing from your bad experiences,
there's a problem.
You're doing life wrong.
Yes.
You're lifing wrong. Something ain't
real.
Right.
Your lifing is trashing. Because
you are literally doing life wrong.
Yeah. Should not be stagnant.
No. You should be learning something from your bad experiences,
Yes.
your bad situations,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a new skill, whether it's a new mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe what is it? Boundaries? Were you learning? Have you now learned to
Mm.
create boundaries? You need to be growing from that experience, and if you are not, something ain't right with you.
Yeah.
And maybe it's you,
There's a common denominator.
right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's you.
And then try to find out how to work on it. Because I can't say fix it, because not everything's fixable, but
right.
acknowledge at
Yeah.
least. You have to acknowledge those things, because each of
Yep.
those situations are going to require you to adapt and adjust, which is one of our next things, because they require you to really sometimes go with the flow. I'm very much try to be a go with the flow type of person. And for some folks, that may seem like I'm very nonchalant, or I'm very laissez-faire, come what may. And to some extent, I think life has kind of taught me that, because you can't control, like Z said, you can't control things, and you have to learn to accept certain things, like within the 5 stages of grief, which is not adjusted. It's not just attached to death. You can grieve a marriage, you can grieve loss of a friendship. There's so many things that you have
And
to
we're
look
talking
into.
about adaptability, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about being able to adapt in any kind of
Right.
situation.
Right, in
Bad or
any
good.
kind of situation. You got to,
Yes.
all these things, you learn how to adapt and accept. So, if you're going through something not negative, like shock and denial, anger and pain, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, all of those things come into how you adapt and how you show up to have the ability to adapt. And it helps you adjust your perspective. When we look at certain things, it can shift your perspective on how you see things from a different angle, to cause you to step back, employ that self-reflection, and what can you learn from that situation on a broader scale? It's all in the angles sometimes, and it can enhance your decision making, your problem solving skills. Find out what's it worth. Is it worth it to you to get all upset about something, or is it just like, you know what? I'm gonna walk on by.
Because everything has a cost.
Yes, and you don't have to be invited. You don't have to go to every party you're invited.
No.
Of foolishness that may be causing you angst or
Nope.
woe is me or something like that. And
I
then
think
you can,
people don't look at that a lot. Like, what's it going to cost me? Like, if you take it into perspective, what
cost
is
me
this
the
going to cost me?
boss.
Is it going to cost me time, money,
peace of mind?
emotions? Am I going to have to compromise my morals, my boundaries?
Yes.
What is this going to cost me?
And it's your perspective to hold. Not anybody. I know for some people, perception is reality, but you really, there's so many different things to consider with that. And how much is it worth to you? What is it going to cost you? Is it going to cost you that peace of mind to move forward? And then you're the one who's all upset, and the other person or situation is moving along fine, and you over here upset. Is it worth that time? Is it worth that angst for you? And then how do you incorporate empathy, or it helps you develop empathy because of a situation, and how it really is like, oh my goodness, it puts you in the perspective of like, wow, my life maybe not that bad. Or it's like, damn, I really need to, my situation is pretty bad. Maybe I can figure out how to help someone else get through it and develop some empathy for someone else who may be going through something similar. You learn, make things better. And it's a waiting game. You got to hang in there, even when things seem impossible and insurmountable. It helps you develop appreciation. You look at...
Wait, before you go into appreciation, that's something that empathy is definitely one of those things where a lot of people struggle with empathy.
Woo! Child.
And I feel like society now
is so
really makes it hard to be empathetic.
Very.
Because everybody has an opinion
about
everything,
which is fine, but people get offended.
But right, and I feel like perception, your perspective, and your and empathy go together,
right?
Because it takes a shift in your perspective
to have empathy.
It takes a shift and being able to see something from a different angle to be empathetic.
Yes,
to somebody, because it's not about you. I think empathy. People look at Well, that can never be me. I would never let nobody do that to me.
Ooh,
I would
that
never let
part.
my bank account go into negative. I would never let my husband beat on me. I would
I
never
would never. I
stay in
would
a
never. Girl,
job.
you better than
Never,
me.
never.
That couldn't be me.
Right.
I think folks need to be
And
mindful when they say that.
you know what? I don't say that. I never say that will never be me. I try to stay away from I couldn't do it. That's not,
Yeah.
because I've seen situations personally where somebody was like, I would never let X do Y to me.
Yep.
And then X does Y to them and they still stealing.
Right.
So you have to be mindful. I look at situations from, okay, it's not me. Maybe I wouldn't go through that. But this person is going through that. Why are they going through that?
Mm-hmm.
And then provide empathy. Yeah, you
Right.
might
Because
hate
you
your
don't
job.
know.
Right. You can hate your job and you can hate your boss. And I would be like, well, I wouldn't put up with half the shit you put up with at work.
Yes.
But then you look at your perspective, shift your perspective and be empathetic. Well, that person got to stay because they don't have the skills to move to another
Right.
job. They have 3 kids that they need to support.
Mm-hmm.
The husband left them.
Yep.
They don't have savings because they had to use all their savings for the divorce, or they
Yep.
had to use all their savings because of a health crisis. You just don't know.
You just don't know. Like
And
this,
that's why empathy is important.
I think I don't, and you can't necessarily always teach empathy. And the situations nowadays, like you said, society doesn't create a space for empathy to be
Mm-mm.
highlighted
Mm-mm.
or uplifted or
Mm-hmm.
celebrated. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and being empathetic, I think, is one of the premier skills that I think everybody should have, because
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what someone's going through until you walk in their shoes, and you're never
Yep.
going to know everything that's going on with that person, because nobody tells everybody everything, no matter how much you think so. And that changes the perspective of how you
Right.
approach things.
I could give you an example, and it's probably better from your perspective than from mine. You had brain surgery, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, as somebody who has brain surgery, like let's say you go back to work and you're still not 100% mentally, it's still a lot of things that you're struggling with.
Yeah.
And it could be things that you knew how to do before. It's like, I can't remember how to do this right now.
Yes.
Now, if you have a supervisor who doesn't have empathy and hasn't learned patience, that is going to be a very bad situation for you.
Very. That would have, yes. And thankfully, my new boss was amazing in that regard. But it really, because that stuff, it really causes you to, it can cause you to question yourself and your decision making. And if someone on the other side doesn't understand, or let me not say that, you can try to understand,
right?
But give that space to try to understand, because you can't expect people.
I definitely think empathy and perspective is something that sometimes always, it's like, well, empathy specifically always involves somebody else.
Yes.
And then, well, not always, but it generally, you will have to have empathy towards somebody else.
Yeah.
And sometimes bad situations, you learn empathy when something effed up happens to you.
Correct.
And then you see it happen to somebody else. And then you're like, I'm empathetic to that.
Right.
If you were in an abusive relationship and then you see somebody else in an abusive relationship, you are more empathetic to that person because you understand where their mindset is. Yes. If you've never been in an abusive relationship, it is difficult for a lot of people to be empathetic to that person. And that's why you hear, if I was her, I would have been left that man.
Right.
If I was him, I would never let her put.
It is so paramount and cornerstone to relationship development. This is friendship, work, what have you. Because if you can't have empathy for what's going on or possibly going on in someone's life, that is a game changer for the trajectory of someone's life. So if my boss was not empathetic and gave me grace, I could have lost my job because, I needed time to get myself together because I'm second guessing. I'm an analyst. So, and I need my brain. So if that didn't happen, that could have caused me to change my career path. Certain things in my life would have changed. And psychologically for me, that could have been something damning to me. And I don't think folks understand how empathy, the long reach of empathy, and how it affects other people's actions and how they see themselves if you're not being empathetic to them, because now it doesn't give them a place to rest. so
Right.
that you're
But
like,
it,
you know,
but it also puts you in a position to be empathetic to somebody else.
correct.
So you may be dealing with someone who has challenges, and you could be, why are they getting this? Why aren't they doing this? I would have had this done by now. But then you may start to think like, okay, but what about when I was in that situation?
Right.
Let
It
me give
helps you
them grace and
reflect.
be a little bit more empathetic.
Right.
Change my perspective.
That self-reflection. You see how these all
Mm-hmm.
interact. It's like a continuum, and then they
Yep.
all influence everything else that you do.
Yep.
But yeah, I think empathy is one of the most important skill sets that you could ever have, especially nowadays, because folks are just mean and miserable for no reason. But being said, it makes you appreciate how empathic some people can be, and it makes you appreciate the positive aspects of your life. Where gratitude comes into play, right?
Yep.
So a lot of these journaling situations, and we've talked about gratitude. When you sit and write down 5 things at the beginning of your day or at the end of the day that you're grateful for, it can change your perspective on how you go ahead that next day.
Yep.
And what you appreciate, or how you're appreciating whatever happened to you positively that day, can make you be like, you know what, maybe today wasn't so bad. I had all these great things going on today, and now I have another different perspective going into tomorrow, and it's not gloom and doom. Yep.
You hitting the nail. Let me tell you something that made me that I implemented appreciation. I was going to get a facial. I'm not going to say what time because I'm not going to put myself out there like that.
Right.
But it was during the week.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
On my way to get a facial, and my car does not start. Now I have a pre-owned vehicle. And I just purchased this vehicle last year.
Right.
So my battery should not be where it is.
No, it should not.
I don't know what happened, but my battery died. Okay. My husband jumped me. I went to Advanced Auto to see what the issue was, because at that point in time, I didn't really know 100% that it was my battery. My husband was like, it's probably your battery. And my car it's like, the newer cars have like little computers. So nothing was working, right?
Yeah.
Couldn't open my back trunk. Nothing was working.
Worst. Yeah, because mine's all electronic.
Yes. Took it down to Advanced Auto because they run tests. It was like, oh, yeah, it's your battery. It should be at 700, it's at 250.
Okay.
Cool. Can you change my battery? Yeah, they do. Free battery check and free installation.
Oh, nice.
Let them do that. I'm like, okay. He's like, all right, let's go see. Oh, this is one for your car. This is good. It was damn near $284.
Yeah, batteries ain't cheap.
Yes. I'm like,
batteries are not cheap.
They're not.
They just be smacking you up the outside of the head.
But it's not cheap for, like, I had prior to this, I had my little Nissan Altima. I was one of the Ultimate girlies. Yes, I was. And I would roll that thing into the ground. And I was sad giving my car up, right?
She really was, y'all. She really was sad giving her up.
Hurt to give her up.
She really was.
I've never spent a lot of money on this car. This car did me so well.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
That car was a ride or die for you, yo.
It really was. I didn't have any major work that needed to be done on it. Nothing. Like, I didn't have to. I'm telling you, I had this car for 10 years. I didn't have to replace near belt. Nothing. Okay? The most I've ever had to do was like all 4 of my tires at once.
Right.
And that wasn't even a lot of money. Upgraded to an Infiniti QX50. And the price, I'm like, I had to get new tires because I had it when we went to Savannah.
Yeah.
Had a nail on my tire, had run flats. I ain't even, I'm like, take it to the dealership. They're like, you got to replace all 4 because that's what happens with run flats. You can't just replace one because your car won't drive right. I said, take these bitches off, give me regular tires. I don't want no damn run flat.
Right.
They was like $1,400. I was like, bitch, for rubber? $1,400 for rubber?
Girl. I'm telling you.
Gold, not diamond.
Girl.
You telling me I got
when I had my BMW, my daddy said these tires are $500 a piece. I said, a tire? What? $500 for a BMW tire? Girl.
So I say all that to say, I was like, I can't. And I'm calling my husband complaining, I can spend $384 off the damn battery. And then I said, you know what? Appreciate And then I stopped and I said to my husband, and he can attest to this. I said, you know what? Let me stop. I said, because yes, I did not expect to spend close to $300 today. But guess what? I had the means to pay it. I appreciate that I had the means to pay it. I mean, a bitch put it on a credit card, but still, I had a credit card with
to put it on.
I have the means to pay that off.
Yes.
I have, you know what I'm saying? I'm blessed that I was able to even afford this vehicle. So I started shifting my perspective.
Yep.
And appreciating the positive aspects of this inconvenience.
Yes. Because it was an inconvenience. At the end of the day, it's clearly an inconvenience.
It is. And I don't care how much money you have in the bank. Unless you're like Beyonce and Jay-Z, like, I feel like any $300 is not going to hurt me. But
it's still $300.
It was the fact that I had to spend this money and I was not expecting.
Correct.
Because a bitch budgets to the penny.
She really does, y'all.
Leave a little bit for incidentals.
Mm-hmm.
That was not an incidental. A bitch wasn't
right.
You know what I'm saying? I wasn't preparing for no damn battery.
Right.
But anyway, I say all that to say appreciation is key.
Very much
because
so.
When you are in a bad situation, that is something guys say I've learned out of being in all the bad situations that I've been in.
Right.
I've learned to appreciate the goodness in it.
Yeah. And there's always a little bit of good in certain things. So, like, something good has to come out of it. Something like you have to believe that sometimes. Sometimes it's the only way to keep your sanity is to believe something good is going to come out of this. Because I surely didn't think how me having brain surgery and the tumor still being there anything was going to come good out of that. But I rebooted my company.
Right.
And I took all these that created a space for me to develop that other skill set and another means of income for myself, another opportunity to network on different levels with different circles. So, of course, not having that time off and recovering, I wouldn't have thought that, but it has created another avenue of things for me to engage in. And then, number 10 is all of these things have been said, and we definitely have alluded to this final one. Resolving to do better. What have these situations taught you? And can you be like, I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do better with my perspective, with my empathy, with my ability to adapt, and in acknowledging that there's growth. Because when you adapt, that's growth as well. And sometimes we don't necessarily think about that, but you had to be able to change your perspective and not be so rigid to move forward in another direction. That's growth. And that's something that, having that growth mindset of resolving to do better and helping you to set new goals and be it professional or personal, and you really have to think about, well, how can I change the situation? How can I adjust this situation, turn it on its head? What can I do to help facilitate learning everything that I can from this situation? What is this going to teach me? If there's nothing else that I've learned from all of my health challenges, definitely one of the first ones is, because it was a woe is me for a long time, because I just came in the hospital. So then I had to pause and be like, okay, what is this situation going to teach me? What is this situation going to teach me? And what can I learn to do to move forward, or am I going to sit here stuck and bitch and moan about it? Because I know some people, 10 years running, 15 years running, they still bitching and moaning about the same damn thing. I'm like, what are you going to do about it? This is woe is me, my life is over, I can't do X, Y, and Z. Well, at this point, you're the problem. Not everybody else. You're the problem. So really, and if you don't realize you're the problem, it's going to be a challenge for you to resolve to do better. But all of these steps, all of these 10 steps that we kind of are 10 ideas and concepts that we put forward are all ways to help you to resolve to do better when you're put up against the worst thing that could happen to you, at that time, because chances are something else is going to happen. And it's that one situation will help you better deal. And I will say that all these things that I've gone through, work-wise, professional, personal, have equipped me with the skills to deal with that next bad situation.
Right.
Because inevitably something is going to happen. So just
Right.
try to remember, to approach these situations with your growth mindset, with the willingness to learn and extract the valuable lessons. And there's always a lesson in something, whether we like it or not. There's always a lesson. And sometimes you guys dig through some shit to get to it, but there's always a lesson to help you grow and move forward into the next parts of your life. So with that, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll come right back with our last tip of the day.
So this is the last sip of tea. The last sip of tea is just listen to the steps. Listen to what we listed 1 through 10. That's
right.
the last sip.
That's the last sip.
I
Go back and
can't
listen.
Go back and listen to all the other episodes because we touched on a lot of stuff that we talked about in
Yes,
other episodes.
we really did.
That's my last tip. I ain't got nothing else.
I love it. All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us this week on Sippin' Tea with Nat and Z. You can follow us on IG, Sippin' Tea _Nat and Z pod _pod. On Facebook, Sippin' Tea Nat and Z. About info, upcoming topics, news, so on and so forth. Thanks for listening. Catch us next episode where we get into something we haven't figured out yet. Okay?
Yeah, we don't know what next episode's topic is going to be.
Dun, dun, dun. Stay tuned, y'all. Thanks again. Have a great work. Have a great week.